Did you have any production records before you signed to the label? Did you have an idea?
I had the one that everybody had, which is Screamadelica. Other than that, it wasn't really my bag, to be honest. I remember going down there and then for the first time, and then Alan McGee saying, "Oh, take the lads into the storeroom." We were like, "What?" From Bob, and Bobby Gillespie's brother was going, "What for?" I was going, "Give them some CDs." Going, "They won't like anything." And we went in there. I think I got a fucking Leonard Nimoy CD or something. And when he was putting out weird albums, and that was it. So I wasn't really a big Creation fan. Do you know what I mean? The first time I'd heard of him, there was in Eastern Bloc Records in Manchester. There used to be a big cardboard cutout of Alan McGee hanging from the ceiling, looking in his Malcolm McLaren period, you know, with the kind of curly hair and looking like a Sex Pistol. That was the first time I was like, who's that character? You know.
Would you have rather have been on another label? Had you approached other labels?
No. We'd been approached, not me personally, but as soon as Alan said, "Do you want a record deal?" That was it. I said yes, and that was it. We never talked money after that. There was nothing discussed between me and him. It was like just an unwritten gentleman's agreement. And he thought we were going to fuck him off for months, and then he stopped playing the demos to people and stuff like that because he thought. His words, not mine, by the way. He thought a band this good won't be signing to our record label kind of thing. But I instantly liked him. Do you know what I mean? And all the people on the label were great.
Wait, so when did you first properly meet McGee?
Well, it was that. I mean, the story of the night is actually true. You know, although lots of people still don't want to believe that story. The first time I ever met him was at King Tut's when, you know, I walked off stage and Liam would, I think they were playing, we were playing I'm the Walrus, and we could never work out an ending for it. So Liam used to leave after he'd sang his bits, and then I'd kind of put some effects pedal on, and I'd think, fuck it, well, I'm getting off, and I'd leave, and then we'd go to the bar and watch the other three trying to work out a fucking ending. It was different every night, and it was appalling. And so I was stood at the bar, and McGee walked up to me, and I remember he had on a sky blue top, white jeans, red shoes, and ginger hair. And I thought, what the fuck is this lunatic? And he had a skinhead at the time, and he looked like he'd been on acid for 6 months. And he went, "Oh, I really like your band." And I went, "All right." And he said, "Have you got a record deal?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Do you want one?" And I said, "Who with?" And he said, "Creation." And I went, "Yeah." And that was it, you know. And they finished the tune. We chatted away about, you know, the Beatles and the Sex Pistols and blah, blah, blah and all this. And then I was like, "Oh, you're the guy who had the cardboard cutout in Eastern Bloc Records." And we were talking about people, we had some mutual friends in Manchester. And that was it, you know.
So you signed the record deal before you finished the end of the set?
Pretty much, yeah. You know, and I kind of drove back to Manchester that night, and the next day I phoned a few people who knew McGee, and said, "Is this liable to be bullshit, or is this liable to be real? Is he for real?" And they were going, "Oh fuck yeah, absolutely." And I was like, wow.
Between everyone, the sort of making of the first record, did Creation, did they sort of help A&Ring it? I mean, or
Alan McGee, and this is the truth. He'll deny this, but this is the fucking truth. We recorded it in Mono Valley, and because we'd never heard our band live, right? Still haven't, you know. It's an odd thing with being in a band. You never get to see your band live or even hear them live. You hear like live broadcasts, but it's not the same. And I thought the album was all right. Do you know what I mean? And Peter was going, "No, it doesn't sound anything like you sound live." And I was like, "Well, I don't know what anybody's going on about, you know." So we decided to scrap that sessions in Mono Valley and go to the sawmills. And so anyway, we'd done it all, and we got back to London. We were mixing it, and Alan come down to listen to the mix of Rock and Roll Star, and this is fucking true, right? Now, Rock and Roll Star it's a fucking tune, right? If you record it, you know, fucking blowing into a trombone, it's a fucking tune. So anyway, up it comes, it's having it, gets to the end bit, it's fucking mad as fuck. It's like rock and roll, it fades out into this fucking echo and reverb, and you know, it stops, and everyone's like, and Alan went, it's fucking great, man. But I tell you what, turn the hi-hat up in the second verse. And it didn't dawn on me what he'd said for about 10 seconds. And I was like, is that all you've got to the hi-hat in the second verse? But it's all right in the first verse, I take it, you know. It's like, what can't, I think it's just like A&R it for the sake of it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Turn the bass drum down on, you know, fucking 1 minute 33, turn it up a little bit, but then turn it down after that. I thought it was fucking mental. It's like the hi-hat. Who fucking gives a fuck about the hi-hats in the second verse? What a load of shit. But Alan's, I think the whole ethos of creation was you A&R yourself until you need any advice, and then somebody would kind of give you advice, I guess. Once we got a manager, we never spoke about any of that. I wasn't, you know, they'd obviously done it with Primal Scream and Right, so they knew what they were doing. I'm not really into the nuts and bolts of the music business and how it fucking works. I don't know how records become to get onto shelves. Never mind how you put a needle on a piece of plastic and fucking music comes out of the speakers. That blows my fucking mind to this day. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't really an interest to me of the plan. You know, they obviously knew what they were doing because they'd got Ride and Primal Scream away. So we just talked about fucking drugs and music. Do you know what I mean?
After the success of your first record, did creation change as a result, do you think?
I think everybody's... No, not really, because if you think about it, Morning Glory was the least anticipated album of all time. Do you know what I mean? Nobody was waiting for that album to come out, you know, because it came pretty soon after the first one. So I didn't notice any change. Maybe people thought the album done a lot better than we thought it was going to do. So people's goals for the next one probably doubled a little bit, you know. But nobody could foresee what was going to happen with the second album. But I didn't notice any change at the time of definitely maybe. The big changes came after, you know, when all the madness started. But and if there were any changes, they were for the good, you know.
So the second record, which is huge. It's at this point, I imagine there was some celebrating to be done. I certainly imagine creation.
There was a lot of... I mean, they were celebrating anyway. Alan McGee used to call me in Manchester, and this is before the first record even come out, and say, go to Piccadilly Station, there's 2 train tickets waiting for you there. Come down to London and say, why? He's going, we're having a party. And I go, oh great, what fun? He's going, because it's Wednesday. Fucking... Right, just let's finish this pizza, and I'll be there in 4.5 hours, you know. After Morning Glory, yeah, that's when the changes started. But then, the main changes was, you know, you went from Hackney to Primrose Hill. They got new offices and there was a lot more people than working. But the partying took its toll on Alan quite quick. You know, he wasn't kind of there for most of it. You know, he'd had his I don't know whether does he call it a breakdown or whatever he calls it, I don't know. That kind of thing happened very early on in the life of Morning Glory, so he was out of the game, but the rest of us went fucking bananas. But you would do, you know, wouldn't you? It was great. They were really great times, you know, because I think everybody was kind of holding on for dear life because nobody knew where it was going to end. Do you know what I mean? And I guess a lot of it is tinged with a little bit of sadness because it's like that kind of album was everybody's dream. Alan always dreamed of having, you know, the biggest band in the world on his label, and he did, but he kind of fucked himself up in the process, so he wasn't around to really enjoy it with the rest of us, you know. And his dream was to have a band that made it in America, and it did, you know, and he wasn't there for that, and you know, so it was all kind of tinged with a bit of sadness, but yeah, the rest of us partied like drug monkeys till the fucking sun came up and fucking went down on a regular basis. It was great. I remember it just being very relaxed, you know what I mean? There wasn't, not like now, like the music business is a fucking business now, do you know what I mean? that literally was like a bunch of chances who put fucking records out, you know. And along came, after them 10 years of doing it, along came something that was really massive that nobody could fucking comprehend. But
it also, it's when you talk to some of the people who were involved, it was almost like some people were partly being employed because they were good for a party. They would definitely be good for a party.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. Lots of people had jobs and they didn't know what jobs they were supposed to be doing or where they were supposed to be sitting. There was always somebody stood up in the corner at Creation Records. Have you got a desk? I don't know what I'm doing here. Do you know what I mean? Why are you stood in the corner? What are you doing? What's that? You know, with a piece of paper in your hand, like a review of something. Why are you? I don't know. I've been here for 6 months. I haven't got anywhere to sit. Nobody knows my name. I want to go home. Alan back then was, you know, to meet him once, he could sell it to you, man. Not that it was the hard sell, but you just believed. As soon as I met him, I thought, this is the right guy, because he's the only person in 3 years that's shown any interest. You know, we went to Factory Records first in Manchester, and they fucked us off. You know what I mean? And then, you know, a couple with all that, we went to the first day going into Creation. There's a big scrawled on the wall behind Chris Abbott's desk was in big black felt pen was Northern Ignorance, and I thought that kind of describes me. I fucking love this place already. I've not been here 2 minutes, you know. So with them, and it was all about the music, you know what I mean? It was kind of the business side of it was looked after by someone else, you know what I mean? It was all about the music and the clothes and the drugs and fucking football and, you know, going out and having a great night out, you know what I mean? And who wouldn't want to be in the middle of all that? The girl on the front of the Wonderwall single is the girl that used to answer the phones. All the girls on the front of the Cigarettes and Alcohol cover, they're all from Creation. That was all like part of a night out. So everybody, I mean, they were. It's so far removed from what it is now. Do you know what I mean? It was brilliant. It really was. You know, and Primal Scream Studio was round the corner. So if anybody wasn't in there, they were in the pub up the road, or you know, you would constantly see somebody from Creation coming from the pub with trays of gin and tonics and Jack Daniels. You know, Alan would just go to the pub and get me 500 fucking double Jack Daniels. He'd be just like, why don't you just buy a bottle, you type bastard? Do you know what I mean? It was all about the people. Alan signs people. He believes in the people. You know, he's not to know that when he signs you as an artist, you're not going to go off and make, you know, space jazz albums the next time, but he'll pay for it and he'll go with it because he believes in you. Do you know what I mean? You don't get that anymore. You know, people now invest in the product. You know, and music is not about that. Do you know what I mean? You're either invested in the people, or it doesn't matter because the people make the music. You know, and that's why I think if you asked any single band now, we'd all love to be back on Creation. Not because we don't get artistic control anywhere else, anything like that. It's just it was a great atmosphere to make music and to talk about music and to talk about what was possible and what was capable and the ideas that you had. Some of the ideas we had were fucking amazing.
There's a brilliant creative indulgence, I think, about Creation, which means that you will naturally find some stuff which is great, and you will naturally sign some stuff which probably seemed great on Thursday.
Yeah.
But by the time you've got it in the studio,
yeah, let's not dress it up. There's a lot of shit on there, isn't there? You know, I remember the last year where McGee signed his dad. You know, and then Ed Ball put 10 albums out in a year.
I was going to say, what did you think of the rest of the?
Well, I thought, I mean, you know, it wasn't my money. I don't give a shit. You know, mine's still in the Adidas old hole under my bed. He'll have to do with it whatever he fucking wants. But 10 albums in a year, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? They can't all be good, can they? You're still going to get 10 songs in a year, never mind 10 fucking albums. The most creative bunch out of all that lot of Primal Scream, but you can never keep up with them. You know, I mean, they're constantly 2 decades ahead of their time, do you know what I mean? Or they'll, you know, when we signed, they were on Give Out But Don't Give Up. You know, 4 years later, they're doing like fucking electro cyberpunk, you know what I mean? So But they're just inspiring people anyway, do you know what I mean? And I guess it was always interesting to hear what they were up to, but we never... I see us and Primal Scream as virtually identical people, but we come from different places musically. I mean, they're all over the place, you know what I mean? They can turn their hand to anything. Innes is a genius, do you know what I mean? We're not electro wizards, you know what I mean? We kind of stick to the plank of wood with the strings on it. But they were the flagship, absolutely. You know, that's why bands signed to Creation, was because of Primal Scream initially. After that, it became us, I guess.
Do you think you'd have been a different band if you'd have been elsewhere? Or on another?
Well, no, because we had and still got a great manager. No, the music would have been. It's hard to say, innit? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. We certainly wouldn't have had as much fun, that's for sure. We certainly wouldn't have put out Be Here Now. That's for fucking damn sure. Somebody would have put a stop to that. But we wouldn't have had as much fun. I just like to think that it was all meant to be anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Because they gave bands they indulged in bands, didn't they?
They let you do whatever. Well, but that's what record labels are supposed to do. You know, you don't fucking work for them; they work for you. You know, and I always used to say to Alan, "You asked me for a record deal. I didn't fucking come to your office and ask you. So don't you fucking tell me, right, that I might want to have a day off. Do you know what I mean? I was happily fucking up there in Scotland, minding my own fucking business, and you offered me a record. Never forget that, you fucker. I didn't come into your office with a fucking demo tape and a satchel.